sport draws us in. The emotion of individual and team conflict, the passion of desire and trying and striving and etc. And sometimes for people who don't understand what's going on in a sport, the big hit gives us something to hold on to. We can understand it. We can understand one person physically overpowering another. We understand slam dunks, even though they only cost 2 points.
Sport and play allow people who do not have the ability to play music or create fine art or dance very well. It allows people who are ordinary people to fulfill that incredible aesthetic urge that all of us have, and that is to make beautiful things.
What we want people to do is recognize that it's important to analyze things. And even if it's something that you love, and perhaps because something that you love, it's really important to be critical of it and to think about, is it as good as it can be? Does it really have all the positive effects that we think it has? Are there things going on that we may not really be aware of? And if we become aware of them, then how might we change things, to make it better? So what we're really trying to do is open people's eyes to the darker side of sports and get people to think more critically about the role that sports may play in their lives and in society.
I think what's unique about sports is perhaps these processes are a little more apparent when you look at sports compared to some of the other institutions. But yeah, you can't lose sight of the fact that sports are a fundamental social institution. This is where many kids are socialized. As they leave the home, they go and they play sports. Sports are involved in education, and so we look to sports probably because they are there and they are convenient, and we like the thought of getting kids active. We like the thought of health and keeping kids out of trouble and keeping them from having too much idle time. And so, on an intuitive level, sports seem very appealing to many people.
I think the biggest reason why they are important to me now is just because without sports, I can't even envision what I do on a daily basis. I mean, half of my day I feel like I'm in front of the computer catching up on sports stories that in the long run are completely meaningless to me, and they don't have anything to do with my everyday life. But I always feel like I'm completely lost if I'm not reading a blog, or if I'm not reading something about the Red Sox or anything really Boston sports related. I feel like I'm a little bit lost. So just going back from as young as probably 5 years old, it's just something that I do every single day.
I think the Don Quixote impossible dream myth is so deeply ingrained into all of us that the opportunity to attach oneself to what one sees is an absolutely futile and hopeless endeavor is attractive in the sense that you can always imagine that at some point in time you will be successful.
I think the biggest up and down was really just a span of 2 years. If you're really looking at a Boston sports fan, 2003 is probably as low as you could possibly get. I was at George Washington University, and I'll always remember when Aaron Boone hits the home run to win the 2003 ALCS, and I've never felt so sick to my stomach, because as every sports fan does, you're always the Monday morning quarterback. You're going and saying, oh man, why did you make that decision? For probably a couple of weeks I said, why did Grady Little make that decision? Why do you leave Pedro in the game? And then less than a year later, you have 2004, and beating the Yankees in the most amazing comeback fashion you could possibly have, and people literally rioting in the streets. You had the DC police with their motorcycles, and they drove through the street. And I mean, you just see just elation from all these people.
Certainly in our culture,